Good morning, and welcome to another edition of Columbus Concerns, a public affairs presentation of North American Broadcasting. I'm Mark Nuce. Thanks so much for joining us today. With us on the program from Lifeline of Ohio is Jessica Peterson, here to talk about Donate Life, which is what they do. It's all about organ and tissue donation. And Jessica, thanks for being here today.
Oh, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. For those who don't know about Lifeline of Ohio, tell us exactly who you are and what you do.
Lifeline of Ohio is an organ procurement organization, so we help facilitate organ transplants to waiting recipients. We have a service area of 37 counties in central and southeast Ohio, 2 in West Virginia, and we just work hard every day to save and heal lives.
And talk a little bit about organ donation in general. I know there's always a need.
Oh, gosh, there's always a need. As of this morning, there are nearly 117,000 people waiting for a life-saving transplant, and our organization works on behalf of those people waiting. So we find organ donors, and when I say we find organ donors, every time there's a death in one of our hospitals in our service area, they have to call and report that death or imminent death. And then we evaluate and say, is this person passing away or have they passed away in a manner that organ donation is possible? And organ donation is only possible in 1% of all deaths, so it's very rare. Mm-hmm. So we just try to maximize the opportunity to ensure someone's wishes are being carried out. So if someone dies in the manner that donation is possible, we help carry out their final wishes or the wishes of their family.
So talk a little bit about what people can do if they're hearing this program and they're interested in becoming an organ donor. How do they do it?
So one, I encourage you to check your driver's license because a lot of people are registered and they just don't realize because they said yes so many years ago at the BMV. If you pull out your license and there's a little red heart in the right-hand corner, you're registered, you're good to go. If you're not registered, all you have to do is say yes at the BMV. It's truly a one-time yes, and you're in the registry, you're a hero, and you can save lives. And if you just want more information, the BMV, we call them our frontline workers. So you can ask the BMV questions, or you can go to our website, which is simply lifelineofohio.org, and all your questions will be answered. And
maybe before we go any further, you can give us where people can get more information. I know you have a website.
Yes, so our website is lifelineofohio.org. Our website has all the information. We have, an FAQs page. We have the facts page. We really try to address any and all questions.
I would imagine if somebody wants to become an organ donor, one of the first steps might be talking with your family.
That's a really, really good point. So your family should know your wishes. It's like anything. Organ donation happens out of tragedy. So it's a gift out of tragedy. And if you aren't a registered donor, but you die in the manner that organ donation is possible, your family will be asked if they would consider giving the gift of life. And if your family doesn't know what your wishes are, they'll likely say no. And people will die while waiting for a life-saving organ transplant. So informing your family, just having a quick conversation, hey, I signed up at the BMV yesterday. Hey, I really think organ donation is important. What do you think? It's really, really crucial to have them on the same page. It doesn't have to be a long, in-depth conversation. It can really be a statement or a question asking them how they feel, but it's a really important piece to the puzzle.
I guess one of the questions a lot of people probably have is, am I healthy enough to be an organ donor? Am I young enough? Am I too old to be an organ donor? What's the answer to those questions?
Oh my gosh, we get those questions all the time. So to address I'm too old to donate organs, the oldest organ donor in the United States was just shy of his 93rd birthday, and he donated his liver to a 70-year-old. I believe that happened in Texas. The oldest tissue donor was in Scotland, and they were 107 years old, and they gave sight to people through cornea donation. So you're never too old. we have had organ, eye, and tissue donors that have been infants, that have been newborns. So really there is no age limit, either young or old. And as far as I've used and abused my body, nobody wants my organs, nobody wants my tissues, I have bad eyesight, just simply none of that is true, because let's say you're a diabetic, you're a 70-year-old diabetic. So that might mean that your kidney and pancreas can't be used, but let's say your heart is really strong. You're in decent shape. Your heart's strong. You haven't smoked. Your lungs can be used. Your eyes, your corneas can be used for eyesight. The doctors will evaluate you at the time of your passing because they never want to transplant an unsafe organ. So you will be evaluated, and whatever can be recovered will be to go on and save and heal lives.
Our guest today on the program from Lifeline of Ohio, talking about organ donation today, is Jessica Peterson. Jessica, I know that before we get into more of the questions about organ donation, I know that you've been involved in a promotion with one of our radio stations here, 99.7 FM, and Ronnie Hunter, our afternoon personality. You've been doing some public appearances with her.
Yeah, it's been really awesome. We've been partnering with the Blitz to do the Ronnie Hunter Miller Lite Bike Tour, which has been really great. We've been out at bike nights all throughout Central Ohio because some people associate motorcycles with the slang term organ donor. It's a really negative term. So Ronnie invited us to come along to kind of educate and help register organ, eye, and tissue donors. And so far we've registered 35 bikers, which is awesome. And we are going out for the next few weeks with Ronnie just to register people, accept contributions. It's all going to culminate on August 19th at Turtle Creek Tavern in Gahanna, where we'll have, just a big auction, big fundraiser, a big bike ride. The owner of Turtle Creek Tavern, Phil, received a kidney and liver transplant, so he has a special tie to us. So it's been a really great promotion, and it's really helped us reach a new audience and just help educate and not have a bad term associated with motorcycles.
Jessica Peterson is our guest today from Lifeline of Ohio. Their website is lifeline.of-ohio.org. Tell me a little bit about, I know there are a lot of myths, there always have been, about organ donation, and I think most of them have been cleared up over time, but I guess one of the myths is that there's a religious ban on, certain religions have a ban on organ donation. Is that true?
It's not true. The fact is that all major U.S. religions think that donation is a final charitable act of giving. So there's really practically no religions that say no, organ donation is a bad thing. But we do encourage you to talk to your faith leader if you have questions. If you're Catholic or you're Jewish or you're Muslim, ask your faith leader. Get their statement on it, and then make an educated decision. You can also go to our website, lifelineofohio.org, and we have a faith page that outlines every single religion there is and their statement on what they feel about organ, eye, and tissue donation. So it's very comprehensive.
I know several years ago we did a call-in show here with someone from, I don't know if it was your organization, one of them, but one of the questions that actually came up a couple of times was that if I'm very sick and I'm an organ donor, I'm not going to be treated as well because they want my organs.
Oh, yeah. We hear that one a lot,
Really?
a lot. In fact, my brother-in-law, who's, highly educated, knows his stuff. He is determined that if he's ever in an accident and they know he's an organ donor, that he will be let to die. And that is just simply not the case. When medical professionals arrive on the scene of an accident, or if you're rushed to the emergency room and the medical professionals look at your driver's license, they're looking to find out what your name is so that they can find a next of kin. It doesn't matter if you have that little red heart on your license or not. they're really dealing with saving your life and finding out who in the heck you are. Donation only occurs after death has been pronounced. Mm-hmm. So the hospital portion and the donation portion are very separate. Now, earlier I had mentioned that we will get calls if there is an imminent death, and that is if the person is going through like the last rounds of brain death testing, will be called in. So they're two separate care teams. The medical professionals, EMTs, doctors, nurses, surgeons, they've taken an oath to save your life. Until all of those measures have been exhausted, they are working to save you. When those measures have been exhausted and donation is possible, then donation professionals are called in. We get that question all the time, but they're there to help you. The medical professionals are there to help you.
I guess another question that we heard then, and I think probably comes up pretty often, is that if I become an organ donor, after I die, can I still have a normal funeral? Can I still have an open casket, that kind of thing?
Of course you can. So we say that if an open casket was possible prior to donation, it is possible after donation. So we all know that there are just some instances where an open casket isn't possible. So that simply means that because of the mechanism of death, how you died, it wouldn't be possible to have an open casket. So that means after donation, you wouldn't be able to have an open casket. Mm-hmm. But donation doesn't interfere with funeral plans. It doesn't extend the process. We make sure to follow the family's wishes. So if the family wants to have an open casket, we make sure to work with them to find out, what kind of clothing the person will be wearing, just so that we can make 110% sure that any of our surgical incisions or tissue recovery is all covered. Mm-hmm. So there is absolutely no delay. There's no cost to your family for donation, and it doesn't affect funeral at all.
Our guest on the program today is Jessica Peterson with Lifeline of Ohio. They, of course, coordinate all the organ donations in 37 counties here in central Ohio and a couple of counties in West Virginia as well. Jessica, it's a big job. Let's say that I want to become an organ donor. Is there a way to do it not going through like the Department of Motor Vehicles?
Yeah, so we have about 97% of the Ohioans who do register at the BMV. But if you don't want to do that, or if you don't go to the BMV, mm-hmm. you can go to our website, lifelineofohio.org, and you can register online, or you can just call our office and we can mail you out a brochure. So the BMV does hold the Ohio Donor Registry. So when you go to our website to sign up, we turn everything over to the BMV. Same with if you mail a brochure in, it goes to the BMV. So mm-hmm. just so you know that little distinction. But we do get people who just simply want to fill out that form, and we're fine with that, and we will get that to you.
Again, your website is lifelineofohio.org, and I imagine all the questions that people have are answered there on the website?
Yes, and more.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about, medical technology and breakthroughs change constantly, and it's almost a routine now to do certain transplants of organs to save people's lives. What all can you take from a body?
So it's really incredible and fantastic. So one organ donor can save 8 lives through organ donation. So that's the donation of 2 kidneys, lungs, liver, kidneys, pancreas, and small intestines. So one organ donor can give 8 organs. One organ donor might only be able to give 4 organs. But we try to maximize the gift. So whatever a person can give, we make sure that they're able to give that. And then one tissue donor can save more than 50 people, save and heal. So that's through giving sight to tooth through cornea donation. They can give skin for fire burn victims, skin laying a tissue donor skin over a fire burn victim helps them to heal. You can give bone, you can give veins, you can give heart valves to babies who have congenital heart defects. Truly, tissue donation helps truly more than 50. We're looking at the numbers, and we think that it's closer to about 100 people that one person can help. So it's just, it's incredible what one person can do by saying yes.
This may be an odd question. I don't know, but I'm going to go ahead and ask it anyway. Can you say that I want a specific organ to go to a specific person?
Yeah, and it's happened.
I guess it wasn't such an odd question.
No, not at all. So it is rare, but it does happen. We have a girl in Worthington, Central Ohio, who was in desperate need of a liver, and her mom was at her church praying, and right next to her mom, there was another woman who was praying for her nephew to pull through a car accident. And they connected, and the boy, Jordan, didn't, he ended up passing away from his injuries, but they were able to direct Jordan's liver to save Morgan. So that's a very rare circumstance, but it does happen, and Morgan's alive 16 years later. She has a 3-year-old son. So directed donations certainly do happen.
How are the, I guess, the allocations of the organs? How is that handled? I know there's a list. You know, people are on a list, a waiting list.
Yeah.
How does that work? Do you also help facilitate that?
So the waiting list is held by the United Network for Organ Sharing. So they list all 117,000 patients currently waiting. So what Lifeline of Ohio does is when an organ and tissue donor is found, we run tests to see which organs can be allocated, and then and their blood type and their tissue type. And then we run that against the list from the United Network for Organ Sharing. So when there's a match based on blood type, tissue type, and body type, we can match those recipients. So if you picture, let's say there's a donor that's a 4'5", 120-pound female. So she's able to give her heart, but there's a 6'2", 65-year-old man. Her heart is going to be too small for him. Okay. So you have to match based on body size, blood type, and tissue type. So we were just talking about Morgan and Jordan. This is why directed donation is so rare, because Morgan and Jordan had to be the same body size, tissue type, and blood type. So there's a lot at play. So people sometimes think of the list as, well, I'm number one on the list. I've been waiting for 6 years for a kidney, so I'm number one. But that's not true, because the list is fluid. Right. Because even if you think you're number one, that doesn't mean that the next person who dies is going to be your blood type, body type, and tissue type. It's fascinating and incredible how medical science has, come forth in the last 50 years to save this many lives. It's incredible.
It is. It's an incredible story, and a story that is being facilitated by groups like Lifeline of Ohio. Our guest today is the Media and Public Relations Coordinator, Jessica Peterson. And Jessica, again, the website where people can get more information.
Of course. It's lifelineofohio.org.
And thanks so much for being here today on the program and shedding more light on organ donation.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
You've been listening to Columbus Concerns, a public affairs presentation of North American Broadcasting. If you have any questions or comments about today's show, you can drop us a line at 1458 Dublin Road, Columbus, 43215. Again, that's Columbus Concerns in care of this station, 1458 Dublin Road, Columbus, 43215. I'm Mark Nuce. Thanks so much for listening, and please join us again next week for another edition of Columbus Concerns.